took a vacation for a couple of days, but now I'm back. Feels good to be back making videos. Just love this thing. Anyway, hey guys, Harsh here and welcome back to Technolobe. The Poco X2 has a great set of cameras, and today in this video, let's talk about those cameras in detail. That was a great intro, wasn't it? If you like the intro, then please let me know about that in the comment section down below. So I've been using the Poco X2 since the day it came out, and the number one thing that I was excited for is the cameras, because I'd heard from YouTubers like Kiki Ranjit that the cameras are excellent, and that's why I wanted to test out the camera to its full potential and make a dedicated camera review, and that's exactly what today's video is about. Now when it comes to smartphone cameras, there are two main aspects: hardware and software. Both are equally important. If you have good hardware but crappy software, it's not going to work. And on the other hand, if you have very good software but crappy hardware, it's not going to work either. That's why you need to have a very good combination of hardware and software to make the smartphone cameras work and to click some really good photos. And I think this time Poco has done that just right. Like, it has great hardware and great software as well. Let's start with the hardware. So the Poco X2 has 4 cameras on the rear side. Yes, 4 cameras is a reality now, and it's just a very good time to be alive. The primary camera is the 64 megapixel Sony IMX686. It's the latest one from Sony, and the lens on this camera has an aperture of f1.8. Now apart from the main camera, you also get an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera with a field of view of 120 degrees. Out of the remaining 2 cameras, one is a 2 megapixel depth sensor and the last one is a 2 megapixel macro camera. On the front side of things, you get a dual camera setup. The primary one is a 20 megapixel sensor with an aperture of f2.2, and then there's a 2 megapixel depth sensor. So that was hardware, and it's pretty good hardware for the price of rupees 16,000. Like, the Sony IMX686 sensor is excellent, and to give that sensor at this price point is a big deal. Trust me on that. Now let's go ahead and talk about the software. So Poco X2 comes with MIUI, and in that you get the MIUI camera application. And I think this time around Poco has done an excellent job when it comes to optimizing the camera app for that specific hardware. Like, the photos that you get out of this phone are really good, and you don't believe at first that these photos are from a phone that costs 16,000 rupees. Let's start with daylighting conditions. So when it comes to daylighting conditions, this camera is awesome. The dynamic range is excellent. It exposes the highlights and shadows in a very good way, and it does not lose a lot of detail as well. Like, the HDR mode on this phone is very good and is doing an excellent job. The HDR mode is not too aggressive and the photo doesn't look unnatural. In fact, it looks very natural and very pleasing to the eye, and that is an excellent thing. Now the 64 megapixel sensor does help in retaining a lot of detail. So even if you zoom into the photo, you will get a lot of detail, and that is very helpful in post-processing. So in post-processing, if you want to crop in and change your frame, you can easily do that because of the high detail photos. And this is with 16 megapixels. Like, I'm not saying about the dedicated 64 megapixel mode. Even if you shoot in the normal 16 megapixel mode, you will get a lot of detail. So you can see from the sample images, editing the photos in post-production is a fun task, and you should definitely do it. Like, if you click photos from this phone, then you should definitely edit them in applications like Lightroom and Snapseed. Now one thing that I really like about this phone is the Pro mode. So in the Pro mode, you can control everything. It's like manual mode, so you have access to white balance, shutter speed, ISO, and you can take the perfect photo every single time. And I also like the fact that it can shoot raw out of the box. So it clicks the photos in DNG format, and that can be easily edited in Snapseed as well. So you can directly shoot raw photos from the camera application and edit them in Snapseed immediately, which is excellent. Now let's talk about portrait mode. So portrait mode on this phone is very good. The background blur is very natural and the edge detection is on point. It doesn't feel unnatural at all, and you can also change the aperture later on. So if you shoot the photo, then go into the camera app and edit the photo, you can change the aperture, which is very good. And it works really well. Like, at first I thought it's a gimmick, but it's not a gimmick at all. The aperture changing does work really well. Now in portrait mode you get a dedicated movie mode which shoots photos in 21:9 and those photos look really good and really cinematic. So if you like to shoot 21:9 aspect ratio photos, then you can do that and it works surprisingly well. Like I tried to click a lot of photos with the movie mode and they turned out to be really amazing. So a thumbs up on that part. Okay, now let's move our attention towards low light photography. When it comes to low light photography, this camera application has a dedicated night mode and it works really well. Like the night mode is excellent and you get really awesome photos. There is a lot of detail in the photos, the colors are natural, it's not overexposed, it's not oversaturated, it's not over detailed like some other night modes on some other phones. It's just perfect and I really like shooting photos in nighttime with the Poco X2. Now what about the ultra wide angle camera? So the ultra wide angle camera is really good in terms of daylighting conditions. The perspective is excellent and it's very fun to shoot ultra wide angle photos. Like there are very specific scenarios in which you can shoot ultra wide angle photos and you are glad that you have an ultra wide angle camera built into your phone. So that's a really good thing. But when it comes to the photos, I would say they are not that detailed because it's an 8 megapixel sensor. You can see the difference between the primary sensor and the ultra wide angle sensor in terms of the detail level. So please make a note of that. Now let's move our attention to the third camera, that is the macro camera. I really like this perspective. You can go really close to the subject. It has a focal distance of up to 2 centimeters. So you can go up to 2 centimeters and shoot photos and it's really good. So if you want to zoom into the leaf, like go close to the leaf and shoot all the details, then you can do that. And it's a very good perspective. It's just a fun camera, I would say, because it's just 2 megapixel. You cannot click professional macro photos with this, but it's a fun little camera to have. So that was the rear camera. What about the front camera? The selfies from this phone actually turn out to be pretty good. The detail level is good, the colors are good, but I do not like the dynamic range. Like the dynamic range could have been better and that is clearly evident when you install Google Camera. So when you take selfies from Google Camera, the dynamic range is way better and maybe Xiaomi can tweak some settings next time around and give us better dynamic range. Like the software optimization could be better for the front camera in terms of the dynamic range. Now let's talk about the last part of this video, which is video shooting from Poco X2. So you can shoot up to 4K 30 FPS from the rear camera, and frankly I did not like the video shooting that much. The stabilization is very bad at 1080p 60 and that's the frame rate I shoot at the most. Like I shoot B-roll from my smartphone and it's always at 60 FPS. So that's the thing that was a little disappointing for me because the stabilization is not good. But you do get really good stabilization at 1080p 30 FPS. But I'm not shooting at 30 FPS. I need 60 FPS and that's slow motion. So yeah, I was kind of disappointed when it comes to video shooting. Hey guys, this is Harsh here and this is a very quick front camera video test of the Poco X2. Do let me know about the video quality, the audio quality, the stabilization and everything in the comment section down below. So overall the Poco X2 is excellent in terms of the cameras, and if camera is on your topmost priority and your budget is under 20,000 rupees, then look nowhere else. Just go ahead and buy the Poco X2 and you will have an incredible experience. If you want to buy it, I'll drop a link to it in the description box below. So anyway, this was a full camera review of the Poco X2, and if you liked it, then hit that like button and let me know about it. That's been it. My name is Harsh Punjabi and I'll see you guys in the next one.